most ardent of listeners.
I'm not your number one listener. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
that's
lie.
Reed's our
I, I
number one listener.
I did listen to like when you first started before you went on hiatus. I listened to them literally almost the second they came out.
I like that you said hiatus. That's good to know. What are you drinking? You know, we always talk about our beverages and what we're sipping on. So what
I
are you
always have a
sipping
fun
on?
drink.
Do the little influencer thing. Do it with your fingernails and stuff. Nice. What
So
is
I
it?
have a little mocktail. It's called my sleepy time mocktail. So I do half of a poppy. This one I have the strawberry lemonade. And then I do
Okay.
tart cherry juice, which has magnesium and it promotes healthy sleeping.
Okay, you don't have to do like ads or anything, but I miss those. You used to make
Oh
this
no,
from when I
I'm
lived
I'm
with you.
sponsored by them, so I have to
Oh,
mention them
okay.
four
Magnesium,
times this time.
magnesium, sponsor us.
Yes.
All right. Well, welcome back to our Totally Biased Music Podcast. We have a special guest today in a special situation, something a little out of the norm for us. Today we are doing a Totally Biased aside, and we are diving into the new Harry Styles album, Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. And for us to really dive into this, we wanted to bring in a Harry Styles specialist, who is my very own sister, Mallie Seville. So Mallie, first off, thanks so much for hopping on the pod. I think you're the first, you're definitely the first related person to any of our hosts.
I'm
And
so
you're
excited.
obviously, my first related person. Also, just very rare that we have a guest, and extremely, I don't think we've ever just had one individual, like a one-on-one interview guest situation, but it's been something I've wanted to do for a while, as far as like bringing in someone who is like super passionate about like an artist or, a new release or something like that. So before we hop into the album, why don't you give us a little bit of background on your history with Harry Styles and maybe even One Direction, if you'd like.
So my history with Harry Styles begins long ago when I was in middle school and I was on YouTube and I saw a video of this boy band who was incredible. They were on the X Factor, if you know what that show is. It was in
Oh,
the
so you're like
UK.
OG.
I'm OG. This is
Uh-huh.
this is after they didn't win X Factor. Whoever won, they're not popular or famous as much as Harry Styles is, but they got, I think, third place in the X Factor, and I found them through YouTube. I remember the next day, I called in sick to school, and I just sat there and I watched all their YouTube videos that I could find for the next like day, and then throughout the weekend. And as you can attest, I was probably a little unhealthily obsessed with One Direction,
A little bit,
just a
yeah.
little.
Huh?
Specifically, probably the Harry Styles. Um, and I had their posters all over my wall. And I did cry in high school when they decided to break
How old were you
up.
when you were crying that they? And there's nothing wrong with that. Listen, I think we've all gone through like either band breakups or singer deaths or anything like that has made us emotional. But how old were you when that?
I was I was either 16 or 17, and I had a teacher come up to me and they asked me if I was okay, and I just say no, I'm not okay. One Direction just decided to take, as they called it, a hiatus. But unlike Totally Biased, they did not come back, and they are now broken up for good because, as we know, Liam Payne, R.I.P.,
Right.
is no longer with
Um,
us.
what's more of the well, not red flag, but I guess the level of dedication and obsession that you had was that a teacher came up and asked you if you were okay. Like they knew
Yes.
you as you were the 1D girl.
It was me and my friend Meg. We were the main 1D girls, and then
Mm-hmm.
everyone else obviously liked them because at that point One Direction got huge. They actually opened for Big Time Rush, if you remember that
I
TV
do.
show. So
I
they
do.
opened for Big Time Rush, and at the time people would come just for the Big Time Rush concert to see One Direction, and then they would leave right after the opener. And so Big Time Rush was not the biggest fan of them because of that, but
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, what are they supposed to do? They can't be like, "Hey, stick around for this band that's not as good as us."
hey, stick around for
Um,
the headliner of the show.
so, for some context for me, I was never a big One Direction fan by any means. I do remember taking you to. By the way, if you can turn off your center stage thing, that would be
I
cool.
thought
It
you
just
told me
like
to turn it on.
no, I didn't. I would just want to make sure I could see you. It just like keeps like you're like phase shifting left and right. It's kind of funny. Um, I
Beautiful.
was not a One Direction fan by any means. I do remember taking you to the concert in Atlanta.
You
Um,
did.
Yeah, I did not go though. I dropped
No, I'm gonna see.
you and one of our other siblings off, and then I went and got my car booted at the Tabernacle parking lot when I took Mandy to the Ferris wheel.
Yes,
And we
that I
also went and
remember.
saw a really bad movie. I want to say it was the Andre 3000 Jimi Hendrix movie. It was terrible, terrible.
Okay.
But I digress. So, kind of shifting into more of Harry's solo career, I do enjoy a lot of his solo music. I think it's really, really good pop music, and we'll get into what I think about this album in
Okay.
general. But spoiler alert, I really, really like it. What's your favorite Harry Styles solo record, and why?
My favorite, that's a really hard
This
one
is
to
like an
pick,
interview. This is fun. I
but
like it. I like this style.
I don't know if it's just because I'm here talking to you or
Mm-hmm.
if this is one of my favorite songs from him. It's Sweet Creature, which is on his first album. And basically the premise of the song is he has one sister, Gemma, who he grew up with. She's the older sister. And the whole song is about how he left like the home young, but yet at the same time, like basically they're two like halves of a whole, and how much he loves
Mm-hmm.
his family and how like no matter where like they are in the world, like it's still gonna be home every single time he sees her. Which I think is really, I don't
Oh,
know,
that's
it's very
sweet.
sweet. Yeah.
I like
So
that.
it's basically like, hey, I left home at a young, early age, but like I never truly left home because like you're around.
Oh,
So
I love that.
that's definitely one of my favorites. What's
How
your favorite
nice.
Harry Styles song?
I asked what your favorite album was, but
Oh,
that's okay.
you asked
Y-
album?
yeah, it's all right. I mean, I like that you went ahead and kind of gave a really nice story. I wouldn't say I have like a favorite song necessarily. Actually, that's not true. We'll get there when we get there. Um,
Okay.
when we get through what's your favorite album?
I thought, okay. We're gonna rank the albums at the end of this,
Oh,
but
that's right. You want to rank the albums at the end. That's okay.
so my favorite album, honestly, I'm going back and forth in my head right now between Fine Line, which I think is
Which I
an
love.
which is an incredible album, and this album. I'll
Mm-hmm.
do a little spoiler. So this album I feel like has a lot of songs I really, really like on it, where Fine Line I feel like there's no bottom three for me in Fine Line. There's two bottom threes for me in this album. But
Okay.
Fine Line, there's just no misses. So I kind of go back and forth where it's like, what makes an album great? Is it every single song kind of flows and the album as a whole is good? Or is it, hey, this album has the best songs of his discography?
Typically we lean towards the first version of that where like
Okay.
and at least I do rather where like if everything kind of flows and like it's a complete album that makes it a better album. That doesn't necessarily make it better music, but for me that's kind of what I value. But there's no like right or wrong answer there. All right, cool. Well, with all of that, great intro, great context for your history with Mr. Harry. We'll hop into the album. So the way we're gonna do this, and I know we talked
Perfect.
briefly, but I'll just kind of go ahead and lay it out in front of us again. Is we're gonna go song by song. We're gonna talk about each
Hmm.
song. And then like if you want to call out which ones are your top three and which ones are your bottom three as we go through them, we can do that. I always kind of play it in the
Perfect.
background, but because of licensing stuff, we can't like play snippets. Even though I really want to get to, there's surely a way we can do it, but we'll get there one day, as soon as we blow up and forget that we know anyone except for our close friends and family.
Well, our sponsors will be able to cover those legal costs for us. No
Yeah,
problem.
magnesium is going to cover the legal costs for us. It's a good call. All right, cool. So the first single on the
Yeah.
album is also
Oh my God.
the first song on the album, Aperture. Um, and this is this very like synthy haunting almost I would call it like a love song. For me this song is fantastic. This is the one like when the single came out I was like, oh, this is like going to be a kind of serious record. Like
Hmm.
Harry Styles has made some really good pop music, but I think that he hasn't really delved into a ton of like serious like electro synth like new wave type of sound. And so this kind of felt like a bit of a foray into that area. What'd you think of Aperture?
Oh, I loved it. I completely agree with that. I feel like in the past, he's really good about putting out music that he believes in, but there's always at least two or three songs, and it's usually the single on each album where I feel like is more being put out for the charts and for like getting his name out there. And I feel like this is the first album where he's like, this is who I am. This is music I like. If it charts, great. If I get, awards, great. But that's not what I care about. And I think Aperture was a great just single to push. He really likes to put kind of that like gospel-y music kind of towards the end where, like it's almost like a choir thing. I
Yeah.
thought I thought the single was amazing. I thought it kind of is very indicative of the entire album.
Yeah, it definitely, and it builds a lot to it. I think as this album kind of goes on, there's different songs that kind of do. It goes up big in like ebbs and flows. Like there's a lot of energy, and then it kind of will drop you back down. And that's kind of this song kind of sets the tone for that.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as like him, I saw an interview where he was talking about he went to a Radiohead show. Actually, I want to say he went to the one in Berlin, and he was like, it like changed the way that I thought about like how I was going to produce this album because, or like certain maybe not how he's going to produce it, but like performing or something to that effect. Just like being able to kind of get lost in music and like no one around him really recognize him. I think he probably wore a disguise because I mean he's one of the most famous people in the world. But that kind of some of that sound kind of comes through on this. So I actually have this in my top three, probably like at the
Okay.
three slot is where we'll put it for now. Moving on to American Girls. How'd you feel about this one?
This is my number one song by
Okay.
far. That makes me nervous. But I don't know if you ever like just listen to a song and all of a sudden you just feel like it just settles into your soul.
Uh huh.
I just loved the opening, the kind of echoey beginning that he does, I think was incredible. And then all of a sudden around like, you know, 30 minutes or 30 seconds, 1 minute, it's almost like a whole tone shift. It just feels like kind of the perfect summer song. I'm not surprised he did this as his second single because I think Absher was a good one to put out first, but I think American Girls is his best song on the record.
Okay. I mean I definitely have it in there. I'd probably put it an honorable mention for me, but like I love the chorus. It's very like anthemic and big and kind of meshes
Yes.
some of the sounds that he's going for in this with that more standard like pop style of having like a really big hook. And it's gorgeous. It's a really really gorgeous song. And the lyrics are kind of funny, honestly. Like it's a little more lighthearted than like the serious tones of those like the synths and the like the kind of the heavy beat of the drums would imply. It's like all my friends are in love with American Girls, like, whatever. Like it could be a Katy Perry song lyrically, but like
Yeah.
sonically it's not, right? So kind of it's cool to see like pop music being serious, but also like still understanding like what it is. So yeah, I like American Girls. Coming into one of what I would consider my bottoms is Ready Steady Go. This sounds like a car
Okay.
commercial song for me. Like it literally could be like the song for a Ford commercial. It's just a little goofy. It's kind of like Robin Thicke esque with his little like bass line. So I'm not a huge fan of this one personally. But how'd you feel about Ready Steady Go?
I actually agree. Let me double check because I only had two songs in my bottom three, and Ready Say Go was one of them. I would say it's better than the other song I have. I just feel like almost feel like it's overproduced. I think
Mm-hmm.
this album is not. It's more of her production and his like vocals and not as much lyrical. But even saying that, I think Ready Steady Go, the lyrics are just it's just the same thing over and over again, and I just think it's not produced very well. So it's in my bottom three,
Okay,
unfortunately.
cool. We're aligned there. Yeah, I think it's just like I don't really know what it wants to be, honestly. All right, moving on to Are You Listening Yet? How did you feel about that? I will hold mine until your opinion.
Okay. I kind of loved it.
Did
It's
you?
not in my top it would be an honorable mention. I didn't think I would, but I just feel like the very quick beat and then all of a sudden you have like the way he sings it where every single word is sharp and it like ends really quick. I just thought it was really cool. So,
Cool. I'm glad that you liked it. This is my absolute bottom track on this album.
really?
Yeah, the rapping thing is weird to me. Like you kind of get started off this high with Aperture and American Girls, and you kind of have this like synthy, I'm gonna say it again, like new wave, spacey sound, and then Ready Steady Go. I'm like, okay, like this feels a little more typical. And then Are You Listening It? It's not even necessarily that it's typical. It just kind of annoys me. And he has like the rapping thing, and it's like this drum line. It sounds like a, let me tell you something. There's going to be marching bands all over the country that are going to be playing this song. This will be on
Good.
College Game Day. This will be everywhere. And that doesn't make it a bad thing. It's other things for me that make it unenjoyable. So yeah, it's not my vibe.
See,
Um,
I think because I always like to listen to albums in order as an artist I think they put them out a certain way. And I think because I had, one of I think the worst songs out on the album, and then I listened to this one, might have, kind of made me be like, oh, that song was horrible. This one's great. But
See,
I
it's funny
disagree with your
because
opinion.
that's fair. That's what we're here for. It's a totally biased opinion, That's kind of I think I'm the same way as far as like getting in a groove of something. So I'm like, oh, that was bad. And then I'm like, oh, that one's bad too. You know what I mean? Rather than like
Mm.
hearing the positive of it, I'm like, oh no, we're kind of going in a direction I didn't want to go. But thankfully, back for me brings me right back in it. I really really enjoy the song. The lyrics are really cute. There's one line I like. It's like dinner with your high school friends and your favorite pastries. Must be lonely out in Paris if you talk like that. Like I don't know. It's like kind of this like retrospective look back on a relationship, and it's like fun and happy and cheerful. It reminds me of this band called Passion Pit a lot. Even though like I don't know, it's not quite as like synthy, but it Passion Pit is like an indie. They're like an indie pop band from the early 2000s. But anyway, what did you think of Taste Back?
I loved it.
Okay, cool.
It was not my top three because I feel like I like his slower songs better. But I think after you had, the song before where it was like a super sharp beat, and then this one just opens with him almost like a whisper singing.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. And then the same with the chorus. It's so catchy. I found myself just kind of
So
listening to
catchy.
it over and over again and just kind of like you said, like having a good time just bopping my head in the car. Like,
Uh huh.
yeah.
I'm just like it's like kind of sassy too. It's like, did you get your taste back
Yes.
to taste back? It's like a shoulder bopper.
Like
So yeah,
Must Be Lonely Out in Paris. I feel like it's just like I don't know who it's about, but it feels like a slight little just like fun
it's a
dig.
little bit of a dig for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of what's cool about this. And I don't know if like conceptually the way that I interpret some of this, like the Kiss All the Time disco occasionally, is like a lot of these songs are like love songs, right? Or
Hmm.
like breakup songs maybe, or like romantically inclined, which isn't that unpopular. But then some of these tracks, and disco in general is becoming very popular, or it's having like a revival, and some of these tracks are like straight disco songs. We'll get to those when we get to them. But in the meantime, what did you think of The Waiting Game?
That this is in my top three.
Okay.
So I really liked it. I think he does really good when he does kind of these self-reflective songs where he's like kind of looking back on his life and he's like, yeah, I basically had, the same relationship over and over just with a different person. And it's like, oh, I'm not vulnerable enough. Like I'm just slightly vulnerable enough to get into the relationship, but like I hold stuff back and then that's why we break up and I just repeat the cycle over and over again. So I thought
Man,
it
what's
was
that like?
interesting.
I don't understand that concept at all. That's a really good analysis though. I didn't necessarily pull that from the song, but I like this a lot. It's got that like soft little synth, and then that
Yeah.
the hook before it goes in like to his part again has this really high pitch, almost like a gospel choir thing going on, where it's like, ooh, I can't hit the
Yes.
note, but it goes really high up, and then he like drops back in to like give this really cool contrast and texture. Um, so yeah, not necessarily in one of my in my top. I think there's some better songs, but it is a really good song.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you look at it from him looking almost at his life, kind of at an outside perspective,
Mm-hmm.
that's what made me like the song a little bit more because it just I don't think it's the best as far as the beat, but I think as far as like the lyrics and the honesty, that's kind of what put it in the top three for
And like
me.
his story and stuff.
Yes.
Cool. I like that. I love the
Where he's
perspective on
like
that song.
waiting game, he's like, oh,
It said Mallie's recording is stopped due to an incoming call.
it was
Uh,
mom.
oh, nice. Go ahead and turn your stuff on Do Not Disturb if you could.
Oh my
So
gosh,
what should
no.
I do?
Should have done that. I said
Okay.
I uploaded the
Uh,
recording.
it's still recording, so we're good. I can
Okay.
trim that if we need to, but that's what we have hiccups here. All right, moving into the back half of the record. Moving into my favorite Harry Styles song, moving into maybe one of my favorite pop songs in the last 10 years is
Oh
Season
God.
2 Weight Loss. I think this song is an absolute masterpiece. It is glitchy, it is hip hop, it has these really creative drums. The lyrics are weird and fun. And like a little edgy. It's kind of dark. I sent this song to like 4 different people, and I was like, "You need to listen to Harry Styles' album, and you need to listen to this song." And it has nothing to do. It's just so vibey, and then like he has this vocal pitch thing where he goes the and he like arpeggios it. It's fucking sick. So what did you think of Season 2 Weight Loss?
Season 2 weight loss, I kind of had it in the middle of the pack for me, just because I feel like I would listen to all the songs and then I would look at it and be like, I can't really remember much about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't for me super memorable.
Gotcha.
So I kind of put it in the middle of the pack.
That's okay. That's why we have different opinions. But yeah, I absolutely like this. I listen to the song all the time. Like I would drop this in a DJ set if I was a DJ. It's also kind
Okay.
of in my like realm of like weird electronic music. Like that's what's so cool about this album to me is that he apparently recorded a lot of it in Berlin and he recorded some of it in Abbey
Hmm.
Road Studios. Shout out the Beatles. Um, but you can kind of really tell that he's been in some different, I think, like electronic spaces or maybe even like head spaces from the way this is produced. And I think he has the same producer on all of his records, but definitely on this one, the guy named, what was his name? It's
It's like Kipper.
hold on, I just had this pulled up. Uh, Harpoon and Tyler Johnson, and I think Harpoon is the person
I
who's
got
like
that
his
way off.
his main guy. I mean, you got like the single name part, right? Cool. All right, moving on to Coming Up Roses. How did you feel about Coming Up Roses? And this album, I will say, it's 12 songs. It's very compact. It's only got a runtime of 42 minutes. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty short. But
It's
anyway,
pretty short, and that's honestly pretty typical for him. Like I feel like he does kind of shorter songs.
yeah.
Coming Up Roses, I really liked. Again, I'm not as big into electronic music, so that's probably why like his slower songs are more my favorite. This is not in my top three, um, but I do think because it's more of just like kind of him and his vocals are the standout on it. I loved it.
I can see that as far as like what your tastes are, and like liking the slower tracks. I kind of lean that way sometimes myself. I really like this song too. It's kind of a waltz. Might be a good song to add to a wedding playlist, maybe. I don't know. Um,
Maybe.
uh, Mallie's getting married for our listeners. She's getting married in 1 month and 7 days. 1 month and 1 week. That's fun.
I know. Oh, I know.
That's scary. You got a lot to do.
You're telling me.
But yeah, I don't know. This could be like a first dance song. Not your first dance song necessarily, but I could see it in that realm. It's like got the waltz backbeat and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, good track. Moving into pop, which is one of the disco tracks. This is where we're discoing occasionally.
This
Would
is
you?
where we're discoing occasionally, and I wish, unfortunately, on this one, we were not. I wish it was less
Oh,
disco.
you
I
wish you
know, I
didn't. We
know.
wish we were just. You wish this one was more of a kiss, less of a disco.
Yes, but and I've been trying to think of how to articulate why I don't like this. I think it sounds a little overproduced. I feel like the real reason I don't like it is it's very gimmicky lyrics. Like I said, I don't think any of the songs he really pushed to kind of be a like chart topper, but if
Yeah,
he did, it would be this one.
I
This
can
one
see that.
just seems more of his like watermelon sugar kind of vibe that he's done where I just don't like it. I think it's probably more the lyrics than anything, but I was not a fan. This is my bottom track for
I
me,
really like the way that he
unfortunately.
says pop. He goes, "It's making me pop Like he's like
See,
making the
I hate
sound
the
of a
way he
balloon.
says.
Like it's funny. Yeah, this song's not very good. I guess I would probably have it in my bottom. Probably rounding out my bottom of Ready Steady Go. Are you listening yet? And pop. But I do kind of like the synthesizer little section where it's like a little synthesizer solo. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's Wafer. You know him.
Hey, Wafer. He just
Uh,
misses me.
yeah, that's what he just hears your voice. Hold on one second.
That's what he said.
Um, uh, the synthesizer section is neat. Like I won't say it's entirely a bad song, but it's definitely not my favorite. Moving into Dance No More. How we feel about Dance No More?
This one also is middle of the pack for me. Similar to season two weight loss. It's one of those where like I honestly, unless I had just listened to it, I don't think I could have a very memorable moment of it. So there's a couple of them where I'm just like, do I even remember that song? And this is one of them, unfortunately for
I
me.
like this one. This one gets an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a Justice song. Justice is like French electro pop house duo. Um, and like they have like a big signature that they do is they have like these like airy vocals, like the way the background vocals are in this song. It kind of sounds like what they do. And it's, I don't know, this is definitely also another disco track with the songs that I think you aren't, or we, it seems like collectively aren't as big of a fan of. They're going to be great live with his little residency.
Yes.
Like this song will be
Yeah.
great live. People will be, hands in the air and just vibe.
Yeah, and I think a couple, and like you said, he went to see Radiohead, and that kind of inspired him after, because he was going to take, I don't know how long, but he basically was like, I'm not done with music, but I'm taking a really long time off. And,
Yeah.
he did other things like run a sub 3 hour marathon, which is
Wait,
absolutely
did he really?
insane. Yeah, the Berlin Marathon. So he ran the Tokyo one, and I think the Tokyo one he did a 7 to 8 minute mile pace, and then he did the Berlin, and it was a sub 3 marathon, which
What is
is
that?
insane.
What pace is that at? Like seven
I think
minutes?
650.
That's crazy.
It's a sub 7 minute pace.
That is so impressive. Like
Yeah,
that makes me respect just because like you can't fake that. You can't have someone like you got to put in the time to get
yeah.
to that level. Good for
Like most
him.
people can most people can train and run a marathon.
Yeah, anyone can
There's
train around a
there's very
marathon.
few that can do an under 7 minute. Like you have to be an elite athlete, I feel like, to
Yeah,
do that.
you have to really train to be able to get to that point. Unless you're just a natural
Yes,
runner, and I doubt that he's been doing that his whole life. He's been kind of busy since he was
touring and
15. Um,
yeah.
Huh. Did
But
not. That's my fun fact that I've learned from this. All right, now moving into Paint by Numbers. A lovely little slow number. I have a feeling you're really gonna like this one based on some of your other opinions. It's beautiful lyrically. I would say probably it is the strongest of the songs. It definitely rounds out my top three. But how did you feel about Paint by Numbers?
to no surprise, this is an honorable mention to me. It's not
Okay.
my in my top three, but it's definitely an honorable mention, and it is because I think lyrically it's the strongest on the album. I think production wise, it is one of the best songs on the album. Um, I don't really know the reason why it wasn't in my top three. It just was like a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had a top four, it would be four for sure. Like I kind of had trouble between this one and the last one that's in my top three.
I really like the line, a little self compassion and a life within your means. It's a lifetime of picking from one or the other.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's really pretty. And like in a world of like, I know we both love our treats. Like it is sometimes it's a little hard to decide what to take care of yourself financially, take care of yourself the otherwise. I don't think he's had that issue for a while, but it's still a really nice sentiment. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I don't think he'll ever have that issue
Yeah,
either
probably
with all the
not.
residuals that he gets. But
Uh-huh.
um, no, I agree. I also think a little bit of this song. I mean, you have kind of what's that one lyric I was looking up? Holding the weight of the American children who hearts you break. Um, I don't know if that's necessarily about him, but if it is, I mean, it's kind of like he did have a lot of weight on his shoulder when he was 15, 16.
Yeah,
17 years
that's
old. I mean, think about how young you are and you're touring and you have thousands and millions of people that like not happiness depends on you, but they get their happiness from your music and from you. And that's a lot to kind of have the weight of.
yeah, and you got to think about how massive they were, and like that's the world that they lived in too, as far as like the scale of everywhere they went. There was thousands of people screaming their names, and like when they broke up, there was all kinds of like it was also a different world, like media wise too, where people were like just so hyper. They were okay with people being just hyper obsessed about this one band. I feel like things have kind of changed a little bit because people have there's just so much access to different media points and different bands and different pop bands and that type of stuff. I
Yes.
mean, we just got done with the Eras tour, which you could probably also talk about, and obviously that was still a thing, but people aren't living and dying on Taylor Swift's every word in the same way I feel like people probably were with One Direction. Maybe I'm off base in that, but
No, no, I agree. And I also think like even with Taylor, yeah, obviously she's getting a ton of press, but at the same time she's what 34, 35. I mean,
yeah.
when you're 15, when you're 16, like you barely know anything and to have like you say one word or put your arm around a bandmate and then all of a sudden you guys have been in a 2-year secret relationship and it is overwhelming. You have to think about everything you say and everything you
And
do
you're a
and
kid, like
yeah.
you're not supposed to do that, nor really can you do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool that he has grown. As we close out, get towards the end of the album, it's cool that he has grown up and been able to make such mature music and like such impressive, for me, like sonically pop music. All right, moving to the closer. I'd like to think that this song is named after Carla from Scrubs, although I highly doubt that it is. The last song on the album is Carla's song. How do you think of this song, and like how do you think it is as a closer for the album?
I think it's an amazing closer. I think Harry Styles always picks very good songs to close out the album. Fine Line, he chose Fine Line, which is the album name, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean that one lyrically was really good. Musically, it's amazing. He always just has, I feel like, big songs to end his album with. Carla's song is in my top three, so I think it was kind of the perfect song to end. I don't know if you watched his Netflix special,
I haven't yet.
where
It's on my list.
you really should because he goes through the album front to back and he goes, "This is the only time I'm gonna do it where I play the song from the track that that I pushed out in." And just seeing Carla's song, not live, but him performing it live in front of a big audience, I think it's the perfect song to end this record with.
Cool. Yeah, the bass line feels like a warm hug on this. It's soft and kind of slowly leads you into this like kind of bigger synth moment again. It kind of wraps everything up with a nice little bow. I don't have it in my top three, but I would have it as an honorable mention, and it's a really good closer. It's a super strong song, and it ends with kind of the same way the whole album kind of picks up and puts you back down, picks up, puts you back down. Like
Yes.
it does the same thing with this song too. So it also like sounds really nice if you are like looping the album, because that's what I've done a couple times, and it plays back into Aperture like really really well, which is always cool.
Yeah.
So
It does, and it's one of those songs where kind of like I can't remember the one was it the pop song that you said, even though I think this is much better than pop. I think this song will be amazing live, just as from like dancing, the call it what you want. Like I just think
yeah,
it'll be amazing live too.
I would love to go to one of these shows. I mean, really would love to.
He's playing a
These.
lot in New York.
Well, yeah, who's playing right after him in Madison Square Garden is Fish. It goes Harry Styles then Fish. So there's a universe where you could go see Harry Styles, and then the next night you could go see Fish.
Wait,
Um,
actually,
yeah, in July.
I thought he was playing in like November or something.
No, I don't think so. Am I wrong about this? If I'm wrong about this, I'm going to be really upset because I thought that there was a
I don't know.
back-to-back run. Hold on.
Maybe because I was looking up his tour, you could be.
Harry Styles MSG. Yeah, it's August 26th through October 21st. So it would actually be Fish and then Harry
Okay,
Styles.
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yep,
Because I
yep,
was
yep.
looking and I was like, this is
Yeah.
different.
Yep. Man, that would be cool. That'd be really cool. All right. Well, that is Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. Before we get into our ratings, and I'm also going to tell you what Rolling Stone gave it, even though we've kind of gotten away from that on this podcast. Will you give me your ratings of Harry Styles albums? Not like out of 5 or 10 or anything, just like where they ranked for
Where they
you.
rank,
Yeah.
I think Fine Line has to be at the top for me, just
Okay.
because I think this album is much more mature, but Fine Line just has so many good songs, and every single song is, you have a baseline of good, and
Mm-hmm.
every song's above it. Whereas this album, I feel like there's a couple that drop below being good. There's songs I would skip. Fine Line, there's not. So it's definitely Fine Line. I would say this album would be second. After that would be Harry Styles, his first album, which is just called Harry Styles. That one's amazing. It has more of like a rock kind of like twist to it. So if you like more rock music, that one's definitely for you. It's kind of like a rock pop mix. You can kind of tell he doesn't know where he wants to go with his music career when he put that out. Um, and then Fine Line, he kind of pushed more into like techno. And then the last one is Harry's House, which is the one that he put out right before this one. Not my favorite album of his at all. I just thought it just didn't feel complete. I felt
That
like
one's
it
gotten
needed
some pretty
edits.
rough review. It has not aged well, I think, and people don't particularly like it, right?
That's correct. I would say out of all the albums, it's probably his least favorite, just fan base wise. It's not a very good album, but it's
Fair
not the
enough.
worst one.
Cool. Yeah, for me, I mean, I've listened to Fine Line. I really enjoyed it. I actually even had the CD,
Hmm.
and then this album. So I've only listened to those two, but this album for me is like it's definitely top. It's like a much more mature record. It has a very unique sound, I think, for his like take on pop music, and kind of shows that like he could kind of continue to build on this brand that he has and like take it in a really interesting direction musically. So with that, Rolling Stone gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, which is pretty high for Rolling Stone.
Okay.
Pretty impressive. What do you rank this album out of 10?
What do I rank this album?
Yeah,
I
I told
mean,
you we do that, right?
my fangirl me gives it a 10, obviously.
That's
Um,
fair.
but
You
but
are
my
right.
real
You can do that.
fangirl gives a 10, but if I'm being realistic and honest with myself and with the listeners of Totally Biased Music, as well as the magnesium lovers across the world,
Uh huh. Right.
um,
Of course.
I would give it, I would say, an 8.5.
Okay. Why? Why? Just because of some of those couple tracks that you didn't enjoy as much?
I think the couple tracks that I didn't enjoy as much, I think the singles are amazing,
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of bumps up my rating because I do judge albums a lot of times on the singles because I think if you're gonna put forth what you think is the best song on the album, I'm gonna judge you based off of that. I think he picked two really good songs to be the singles. I think they're gonna perform live, but there's just those two, three songs I really don't like, and I already skip after like two, three listens of the album, so it knocks
Fair.
it down like a point and a half.
For me, there's only 2 songs that I don't like out of 12, and the ones that I do like, I like passionately love. The ones that I'm like middle of the road, like I still enjoy them, and like I enjoy this whole album as like a body of work. So I also gave it an 8.5. So we're aligned there.
Wow. I was about to
Yeah.
say if your rating's higher than mine,
No, it was like it can't be a 9 because there's for me in my head like once you cross into the 9, 10 territory, we're talking about like all-time albums that, like I would rank on, like a top 50 or top 100 list. Um Although as far as pop albums go, this is probably definitely one of my favorite, and I really enjoyed it when it came when it came out a couple months ago or a month or so ago, and have enjoyed listening to it since then. So it'll definitely stay in the rotation. But yeah, I have it at an 8.5.
yeah, I kind of look at albums as what do I reach back for and try to grab over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
This album, I definitely think that there will be songs that I reach back on. Fine Line, I do that all the time, which is why I'd probably give that one a 9. Harry's House, I don't think I've played that in over a year.
Yeah,
This one I think I can see kind of in between those two, where there's songs I pick and play all the time, and then other songs I'm like, I don't need to listen to that ever.
yeah, fair enough. That's how I am with Are You Listening Yet? I'm like I don't ever need to listen to that song ever again. Well, that was Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally, featuring Magnesium Mallie. See, it wasn't that bad. It's pretty easy, right? It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah, I
I
told
like
you.
it.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so
I
much for
love it.
joining. Thank you for your time. And if you haven't listened to it yet, go listen to Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. Harry Styles might surprise you if you're not already a fan. And with that, we will see you next time, maybe or maybe not. Bye. Mallie, stay on for a
Occasionally.
second. Yeah, we'll see you occasionally.